Good morning, team. In this video, I will brief you about project management charter writing. Okay, this is a standard work that is provided to us. So, in which we will be planning to implement either data center transformation, so on-site, on-premise transformation means which contains mostly realistic products, means servers, computers, everything, whatever we use, it will be completely on-premise. Means we will be purchasing the devices and we will be installing them. Second one is infrastructure and application migration to the cloud. So if we have any infrastructure or applications that are running for the organization, like if you have some, for example, you have a 10 to 20 systems that are using which you will be working in the organization. Because of lockdown, maybe people will be connecting from different locations, so we need to make sure that they can connect to our site. So we will be keeping our application, we will be migrating our application to cloud. So these two aspects we can, my suggestion is please go with on-premise transformation, so where you will be creating a real time data center for an organization. Okay, so it is a clear background description is provided here, and whatever the activity scope clearly speaks. What is meant by scope? Scope clearly explains what are the activities that we are going to perform. Okay, so those details, like as a part of completing this project, what activities we are going to do, that is clearly explained here. And document structure, document reference style is APS 7, that is quite common. So what is the main activity as a part of implementing on-premise transformation? What are the actual activity that we will be doing? Okay, the project will address clients need to upgrade their 3 existing legacy data centers and migrate eligible applications to the cloud. Okay, so it need to upgrade, means like already there is an existing data center with the organization, it want to upgrade it, and there are several applications that will be used by the organization and its employees and customers. We need to migrate the applications that they regularly use, that should be migrated to the cloud to ensure that continuous availability and seamless access to the users, and secure and seamless access to the users. So as a part of doing these things, we will be performing these activities. One, like maybe like it is describing the work, 3 primary data centers, 2 for production, and 3 disaster, third one is disaster recovery related data center. These 3 data centers should be upgraded. All the 3 data centers share redundant WAN circuits for users and traffic. Okay, client has total of 145 enterprise applications and 1350. It's a very large network. So these enterprise applications can be migrated to cloud to ensure that the resource, real-time resource that is used by the organization can be reduced, which reduces the cost for the organization. So for example, to run an application, we need an application server to be installed on the organization network. So server means it's again a computer kind of thing, a system, a CPU which we will be using. Like if we see desktop computers, usually servers will be kept in the CPU part. Okay, in the CPU they will be installing the servers, and we can access those applications from the servers. Okay, so here what we are doing, rather than keeping in our on-premises servers, the applications will be migrated to the cloud. Most of the applications, not all applications, most of the applications. Okay, so and it needs 1350 servers to be installed for the network, and among them 450 uses Windows operating system, 550 servers uses Unix servers, and 350 uses EX, VMware, and legacy AX services. Here the main part is coming, which will be discussed in your budget part, that is the allowed project budget, which is 1.5 million. Okay, the budget, total budget that is allocated for your project is 1.5 million, and there is a contingency that is given. Means like if you have any, so you are already allocated with 1.5 million, but you can use additional $150,000 if it is required in any contingency. Means if any difficult situations, if you are run out of money, you can use this 150,000 money. Okay, so you have a contingency budget also. Like you have direct budget is 1.5 million. If you want, you can use additional $150,000 if your work is not completed within 1.5 million. The client is open to the top 3 cloud providers, AWS, Azure and cloud. Okay, you have the ability to reassemble your team. Okay, stakeholders are also open to your specific and project needs. Okay, they are already they are open to it. Whatever we say, they will be accepting it. All 3 data centers are in United States. The disaster recovery and business continuity must be on a different state for recovery purposes. Okay, so when we have 3 data centers in, like as of now we have all the data centers, all the 3 data centers in the United States. So what it is proposing is, like the disaster recovery data center is there, right? That data center should be maintained in a different state. So if both the, if for example, if production data center 1 and production data center 2 are in New Jersey, the third one should be in maybe New York. Okay, in that way we are supposed to plan. So this is basic briefing related to the project scope. Actually we are assuming all these things, and we will be our more focus will be on project management document. Okay, so this is all description related to the case. Okay, don't get very much confused with the technical detailing that is provided in the task. This is all about a project, a simple project that we are going to, maybe a large scale project that we are going to implement for some XYZ organization. A simple it's a clear detailing that is provided, so don't worry about it. You just understand that you are going to implement a data center, 3 data centers for an organization, and each data center might be consisting of 1350 servers, and there are several applications, enterprise applications. Among them, most of the applications should be migrated to the cloud, and among the 3 data centers, 1 data center should be maintained in a different state to ensure that disaster recovery activities are successfully conducted. So disaster recovery data center, what it does, so for example you have 2 data centers, right? Their replication of data, like if you store some data in X data center, that will be replicated and stored in disaster recovery data center. If some natural calamity or some issue happens to the actual data center, immediately whatever the data that is already existing in disaster recovery data center, that will be replaced. Okay, so for that purpose we will be using disaster recovery data center. So I hope you understood the concept. Let me explain you how to write a project charter. So before doing this, like before writing this, most of the people are writing some inappropriate content because they don't understand what is data center. So please have a look on use these links to understand what is data center, what are best practices, what are the issues it experiences, what kind of equipment it requires. So to understand what exactly a data center, I suggest you to read, have a look on these links. Okay, so let us start this work. It contains 14 sections. Each section, definitely you are supposed to include each and every section in your report, and make sure that no plagiarism. If you have worked on the concept, do again better research and give best content. No plagiarism is expected from you. Chalo, first let us start with purpose. Purpose is, so based on your project, whether you are going to implement a data center transformation, on-premise transformation, or infrastructure and application migration, like whatever the project yours is, or like if you are doing both the activities, I guess it is given, you can choose any one option, I guess, but better you choose both options. Okay, so you say that, like you can give a 2-line statement explaining what is the purpose, what is this project is going to do. Okay, in simple 2 lines or 2 to 3 lines, you are supposed to give purpose of the project. Okay, so your purpose of the project, so maybe like to implement a data center and migrate some of the important enterprise application to cloud, to ensure that the communication is established with remote users of those applications. Okay, so you should create your own purpose, understanding the concept. Okay, it should be unique, and it should not replicating any, it should not be resembling any other's work. Make sure that you write it on your own. Next, describe the document. So you can give some basic background to the project stating that some XYZ organization, XYZ means it is not, company name is not XYZ, some organization is already having a data center, and maybe like people, users that are associated with that organization were not happy with the data center, because maybe the data center is not supporting them to access remotely, or the speed, accessibility speeds, profile build, means the security issues were high within the data center. So you need to create a nice scene to explain that why a data center upgradation and why enterprise application migrating to the cloud is required for this organization. So you need to give some nice background, a 100-word background to your work. Then write objectives. Objectives are very clear. So those objectives are clearly mentioned here. You will be creating 2 data centers. You will be installing wireless WAN circuits. You will be creating and installing WAN circuits. You will be installing different type of servers. You can mention Windows servers, Unix servers, or installation of servers. So these are the activities. These are the main objectives. These are the objectives that will be done for your project. Okay. So the activities, the main activities, what we are going to do from this project will be explained in objectives section. Next, success criteria. You just open this link. There will be certain constraints or different types of criteria that should be followed to ensure that whatever the project you proposed will become successful. So if you open these links, you can see some list of measures that should be taken by the organization, or like the kind of achievements that your project is going to get, based on which the success of your project will be explained. Okay, so you can write what is success criteria and what are the expected benefits. I suggest you to write hardly 100 words on this topic also, but make sure you identify key areas that clearly explains success of your project. Next, funding related information. It is already discussed above. The fund budget that is allocated for the organization is mentioned. Contingency related budget is also discussed above, and who will be sponsoring, who will be funding this organization, funding this project. Maybe the organization which is experiencing the difficulty, that organization will fund this project. Okay, so these details should be clearly explained. Okay, you start discussing about importance of fund to the organization and what is the allocated budget for this data center project, and then you speak about what are the other types of budgets that are allocated, and who are actually sponsoring, who will be providing all those funds, and who will be managing the funds. That details should be provided. So assume and try to understand the concept, apply these questions and address it. Okay, next one is major deliverables. Okay, these are deliverables means what are the outcomes after completing the project, what could be your outcomes. Okay, what are the things that you are going to submit. Maybe like after installation of data center will be given to the client. Okay, along with that one we will be providing several documents that are related to the project. Need not to mention all these things. You can mention any 3 documents, any 3 details, deliverables among these. Okay, so usually like data center will be installed. Next, how to use data center, how to use devices. For that purpose, user guides will be given. Project plan reports will be submitted, how it was done, what it was done, and what are the areas that were where we got experienced difficulties, how those difficulties were resolved. Many detailed links will be provided in the project plan and implementation reports. Next, financial reports. What are the budgets, what are the costs that are involved, day-to-day transaction related details will be maintained. So for which, what type of resources, what amount of money was spent. Complete financial details will be mentioned in the financial reports. Okay, next, security management reports, risk management reports, human resource management reports. They are very specific to the word that is used. Security management, that will be discussing about what kind of security issues that can be possibly happen to the data center and how it can be handled. Risk management speaks about real-time risk that could happen to the project and happen to the organization, how those risks can be handled. Human resource report, what type of skills are required, what type of employees we need. That detail will be discussed in human resource report. So these all are deliverables of your project. Next one, acceptance criteria. So you just cross check the report again. It clearly speaks about, so simple, when a project is accepted, how a project can be accepted, that detail should be provided here. So project acceptance can be done usually, to make it simple, when within the budget the project is completed, when expected quality is provided to the provided as per the mentioning that was done at initial stage, then a timely submission before deadlines, the project is accepted, supplied. So in this way, these are the way, like whatever the constraints, most important constraints of projects we discuss. Based on those elements, we decide what a project is and how that project can be accepted. Means we are proposing a project to the senior management, and based on, we need to discuss some of the important elements that we follow to ensure that project management team will accept our project. Okay, so at the end of the project, the things that we mention at early stage, like we will be achieving a list of requirements, whatever the requirements that are there. If only those requirements that are mentioned at initial stage were achieved, then only the project will be accepted by the client. Next, milestones, list of milestones and milestone schedule. You know about it, most of you already worked on the project. List of milestones are related to the project. So maybe like here we have activities, right? Activity relatedly you can speak about. Okay, so maybe first creating WAN networks, next installation of servers, next installation of data centers, establishing connections, application migration to the cloud. These can be some of the important milestones. Along with that, you can speak about project management milestones. Usually project management milestones include requirement analysis. Next one, project planning, project implementation. Among the implementation, you can speak about overall, we say that project implemented. Next, we speak about project testing. Then finally, project documentation and closure. In this way, we will be having 5 to 6 milestones based on the project management activities. Okay, it's up to you what kind of milestones you use. Be unique. That is what we expect. You just cross check this link, you get some better information out of it. Okay, one more point. Just I'm sharing you these links to understand betterly about the concept. I don't want you people to use these links as references. Okay, that is very important point to be noted. Next, key assumptions. Okay, before we start the project, we will be assuming some important things about the project. For example, if you say that we are starting, already 20% of the project is done by somebody else. Okay, then we are about to start, take that project and we are going to continue the project. The assumption there is already people started the project and completed 30% because of some issues. They stopped working on that project, so we are handling it. That will be an assumption. Okay, so maybe like for this project, some of the important background detailing, background information related to the work, maybe conducting surveys, understanding organization needs, understanding employees needs, employees expectations on the project. This is all requirements based on, we call it a requirement analysis section. Okay, so we say that the background study of understanding requirements of the owners and requirements of the employees of the organization were already done. In that way, we can assume that. Again, we can assume about budget, we can assume about timeline, we can assume about activities that we are going to do. So we can assume many things. Simply assume 1 or 2 points related to the project. That is fine. You can write it in 50 words or something. Next, important constraints. You just click on it. Project management constraints will be there. So time constraint, cost constraint, scope constraint, quality constraint. 4 main constraints will be there. You just open this constraint section, you understand. Okay, you try to understand what are the main constraints of the project that should be mentioned here. Make sure you finish it in 100 odd words. Major risks. So usually like project management will have certain risks, and data center projects will have some additional risks. So try to research about it, find some important risks related to the project and discuss them. Then approval requirement. What constitutes project success? You need to understand, like maybe in the initial section we already discussed about acceptance criteria. It looks very similar. Okay, so you need to understand what constitutes a project success, how a project can become successful. Next one, who decides the project is successful, whether client decides or the service provider decides? Who will be deciding it? Maybe both. Client will be, the service provider will be explaining the service to the customer, and the client who is listening to that, he might be understanding or evaluating their expectations whether reached or not, and based on that they will be approving that. So regarding project manager, you just speak about a project manager, and I simply give 1 to 2 lines of statement speaking about project manager. Project manager, we will be allocating a resource as a project manager who will be looking after all the activities like controlling, managing, and mitigating if any issues that happen to the project. Okay, so planning, controlling, and managing the complete project. And finally, reporting requirements. You just cross check that link, you will get some good information related to the reporting requirements. So what kind of requirements a document should have, a project should maintain, that is clearly discussed in that one. In the last video also I explained it, but most of you are writing something that is not exactly expected you to write. Okay, so try to cross check this one, it clearly explains usually what kind of standards that are to be maintained when we are writing a report, or we are completing a project. Okay, so these are the 14 sections of the project charter, and usually like the requirement is between 600 words to 700 words. I don't expect you to write more on it, so be very specific to your writing, and make sure that your content does not resemble others. Okay, so for each section, for this section it is 2 to 3 lines, second section it is 100 words, third section it will be 50 odd words. So a list of objectives, and fourth section maybe 100 words approximately. Funding, again it is 50 words. Major deliverables 50 words. Acceptance criteria, you can speak it in 50 to 100 words. Milestones, again 50 words approximately. Key assumptions, 1 or 2 assumptions, and again it will be approximately 50 words. Constraints, you will be speaking about 3 important constraints, it will be again 50 to 100 words. Major risks, you will be speaking about only major risks, the most important risks that are associated to the project. So you should speak about 3 or 4 risks, and each risk, if you take 15 to 20 words, it will be approximately 100 words. Approval requirements, it requires a small paragraph, 3 to 4 lines. Major project manager, 2 lines, 2 to 3 lines. Requirement reporting, 3 to 4 lines. Simple, very simple format. You need to be understanding what is actually need to be written in the content that should be written. Okay, so no extra information required. Got it, team? Even if you elaborate it and you write 1000 odd words, it is fine. I have no issues with that, but my expectation is be specific and give you best document. All the best, team. Thank you. 25 నిమిషాలు పెద్ద డాక్యుమెంట్
6 minutes.
ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి క్వశ్చన్స్? ఏంద్ర నువ్వు మొదలు కలిసి వచ్చారా?
పిలుస్తానే ఉన్నాను మళ్ళీ పర్సంటేజ్
ఇలా లేదా
చెట్లు పర్సంటేజ్ వెళ్ళదు.
సేమ్ ఉన్నాయి క్వశ్చన్స్?
varies well.
Oh. 11.7 3.22. ఎవరిది?
వాడిదే అనిల్ పోటు వచ్చి అనిల్ నగబల్లి.
ఎందుకు రాలేదు?
వాల్యూ చేంజ్ వస్తుంది స్టాండర్డ్ డెవియేషన్స్.
వాల్యూ చేంజ్ చెక్ చేయండి. 10 నిమిషాలు అయిపోతాను. D-10 -6 రైట్ రాదు. చల్లని క్వశ్చన్. దీనికి ఏమైంది?
3% కదా.
చేయాల్సింది ప్రాబ్లమ్ సాల్వ్ చేయాల్సింది. By 4. ఏంటండి? ఇక్కడ 1/4 ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? ఫస్ట్ ఇది సాల్వ్ చేయాలి. మనం ఏం చేయలేం కానీ పోయింది. ఎవరిది?
నవ్వండి
ఎవరిది?
నవ్వండి
ఎవరిది?
నవ్వండి
మనకంటే నవ్వుబండిదా? అంత వచ్చిందా? ఏం చేసావరా? పట్టిందిరా.
అన్ని అవి వచ్చినాయి. మా ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఏం రాలేదు. ఇవి వచ్చిన ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఇవే. 3 ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంది.
రీటెక్ కూడా లేదురా దానికి.
సేవ్ చేసి పెట్టాను. ఇవి వచ్చినాయి.